Merry Christmas Eve! Welcome back to Drinking by Myself for the final day of vlogmas. I literally cannot even believe I made it through. I had very low expectations for myself when I set out on this, but I did it! We're all here! So as a little Christmas treat, I am literally just going to talk about 10 bloody good books. That's the only theme. These are not my best books of the year because that's coming up soon. So in fact, none of these books are ones that I read this year because I am saving those for a different video. And only one of them was on my best books of last year because I wanted to keep things fresh. They are all different genres. They are all different styles. They are all different reasons why I liked them. They have literally nothing in common at all other than the fact they are all bloody good books. So in no particular order, literally just the order that I picked them up off my shelf, I'm going to start with More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. So this is a book about a young teenage boy called Aaron living in New York in a futuristic version of New York that is almost exactly the same as the one we know, except that there is this company that exists that's basically like the company from Eternal Sunshine. So they can erase your memories. If you've been through some trauma or hardship, or you've had a relationship breakup you want to forget, whatever it is, whatever the reason, they can erase specific memories. So throughout the first half of the book, that's just this weird like presence in the background. Like sometimes you see adverts for it on the tube, but it doesn't really feature. But as the book goes on, it becomes more and more relevant and more obvious why someone is going to want to use it. And our main character, Aaron, has this lovely girlfriend called Genevieve, who is a really great character, but he is also slowly developing feelings for his best friend Thomas. All of these things are going to come together to a head, and it is so deeply sad and so wonderful. Like, it's called More Happy Than Not, but I'm not sure that it is More Happy Than Not. I think it's more not than happy. But it's brilliant. Really, really brilliant. There are moments in this that just like, you know that feeling when you turn a page and you realise what's happened and something just hits you so deeply that you almost like miss a breath? I had those moments reading this book. It is a bloody good book. The next one I'm going to say is the one that I actually don't have here because otherwise I'll forget to mention it. I don't know why I don't have a copy. I used to have a copy. I lost it ages ago. I need to buy one. But that is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by whatever his name is, Stephen Chbosky. This is another one that's a coming-of-age story about a teenage boy. And it's a book that, it's one of those I think just entered my life exactly the right time. And I've actually written about it. I'll link below. I wrote an essay on Bustle about it, about how weirdly, despite the fact the book is nothing to do with religion, it was actually a book that I found really useful in like my own journey with not being religious, basically, when my family are. And that was like hard or whatever. Anyway, it's just a book that had a really profound effect on me. I didn't like the movie. I didn't think the movie captured the strength of the book at all. But I never do. I'm very particular about my movie adaptations. But just go and read the book. It's the sort of book that I imagine can mean something different to everyone who reads it depending on what time of their life they're in and the context. But to me, it was just really about finding meaning in things, finding meaning in life. And there's like this wonderful quote that the main character says where he talks about, right then we were infinite. And that just really struck with me about this idea of like us being infinite and our loves for people being infinite and the moments we have being infinite. It's really hard to explain because like I said, it's the kind of thing that I think you can interpret it in your own way, and probably the way that I interpreted it just because of the particular context of my life at the time, probably the author would be like, no Emma, that's not what I meant. But it just really hit home, and I know a lot of people who have read it and got different things from it and found that it really hit home with them depending on what they were going through. So for that reason, The Perks of Being a Wallflower is a bloody good book. Okay, back to the physical copies. I have Trumpet by Jackie Kay. So this one I read because of the Banging Book Club. They were reading it. Sorry if I suddenly moved. My battery just died again. Keeps dying. I've used up so many batteries today. So, I was talking about Trumpet. This is about a famous, non-existent, but within the context of the book, famous jazz musician called Joss Moody, who, after he dies, at the autopsy, it is discovered the secret that nobody in his life knew other than his wife, which is that he was trans. Not even his son knew, nobody knew. And the son feels very betrayed by this, but it's really about the love story between him and his wife, and it's about the right to privacy when you're living a public life, and it's about love that is formed on a shared lie, and the reasons for that lie and the needs for that lie because of the world that we live in. And of course it is about gender, and I just thought it was absolutely fantastic and so moving. And ultimately, despite everything else going on in it, I did feel first and foremost that it was a love story between him and his wife, as well as also being a father-son story about the relationship with his son as well, which is really beautiful. This is a bloody good book. Okay, an unusual one for me here. This is Hot Little Hands by Abigail Ullman. So this is unusual because I don't ever really read short stories. I just never really like them. Like, I might like one randomly in a collection, and then I wish it went on for longer because then suddenly it's the next one, and I'm like, but what happened to the ones I liked before? I just don't really like them as a concept. But Hot Little Hands is the only book of short stories that I have ever absolutely loved and adored. And I think it's because they connected so well. There was such a great theme, but they all had this shared theme of girlhood and adolescence and female sexuality, growing into it while being perceived as an object by the world. So they had such a strong shared theme that I loved every single story in this and felt like they blended into each other and complemented each other so well. And I've just never had that before with short stories. I know some people who have collections that absolutely speak to them, and that's wonderful, and I'm going to keep trying for more, especially now I know I can love it so much. But for me, this was the first time I was ever completely blown away by a book of short stories. I just realised that my microphone battery died now, but I literally cannot be bothered to fix it because it's going to take too long and it's already really late at night and I haven't even edited these videos and then I have to go to bed and then go to the work in the morning. Oh my god! So you're just going to have to listen to me sound like this now. I'm sure you don't care. So anyway, the gist of this is that it's a bloody good book. Cool, cool, cool. Next up, we have Apple Tree Yard by Louise Doughty. Doughty. This was adapted into a TV show that I didn't like. Surprise, surprise, Emma doesn't like the adaptation. I never do. But this was great and like so tense. My whole family read it and we were all just like completely on our toes. Is that a phrase? We were just all very tense and excited about it. I can't remember how much I can say without it being a spoiler, but basically it's about this woman who meets this man and is drawn into this passionate affair with him, and then something happens to her and she ends up being caught up in this crime linked to this man, and because of her affair with the man, she is then like implicated in this crime. It's got this very strong feminist slant. It's about the way we treat women and the way we view women whose sexuality is at all visible. So that was really, really interesting and powerful. But it's also this great plot and this great mystery because you don't know what happened and what the guy she was having the affair with did and how they were each implicated in the crime. It is a bloody good book. Oh, this one's lovely. This is The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry by Rachel Joyce. This was one I read a few years ago. So this is about this man. Oh my god, I just read the back and I'm gonna cry. This is about this man, Harold Fry. He's old. And he sets off one day to post a letter because he's found out that this woman that he used to know, he used to be friends with, is in hospital and is dying. So he writes her a letter and he sets off from his house where he lives with his wife and isn't very happy. And he sets off and walks to the post box, and when he gets there, he's like, I'm enjoying being out of the house. I'm just going to walk to the next post box. So he walks to the next one. But by the time he gets there, he's like, I haven't finished my walk. I'll just keep walking. And he just keeps walking and walking until it becomes obvious he's not going back. He is just walking all the way up England. And the quote on the back here is what he writes to her in a postcard. I will keep walking and you must keep living. And he just kind of has in his head that if he keeps walking to her, she will stay alive while he's walking. And this whole cast of characters joins him as he goes, all for their own different reasons, end up on this unlikely pilgrimage with him. It is one of those like absolutely hurts your throat while you're reading it because you have such a big lump in your throat. But it's like really uplifting and wonderful and sad and heartbreaking all at once. All of those really cliche emotions that make a bloody good book. Oh, now this one, very strange. This is The Notable Brain of Maximilian Ponder by J.W. Ironmonger. I read different of his books, I didn't like it, but this one is bloody great. I said my punchline bit too soon. So this is bizarre. This one is a guy called Maximilian Ponder who on his 21st birthday decides that he's going to write down everything he knows, like every memory in his brain, and he thinks it will take him 3 years to write it all down, but of course it doesn't. It takes decades and decades, and eventually he dies. And all he's got is just surrounded by these books where he was writing down everything he knew. And he wouldn't let himself like learn new things. He hated learning anything new because that wasn't the point of the experiment. He wanted to document everything he knew at that moment that he started. So his friend Adam is the narrator of this, and he's the one who's there in the house and has to deal with the aftermath of Max's death. And it's completely bizarre. And like, I picked it up because I just thought the premise was so weird, but it ended up being really moving as well. And also made my head hurt because it keeps making me think about writing down everything that I know and how impossible a task that would be. Don't do it. Don't try that at home, kids. I just like love the author's imagination who came up with that as a concept. As I said before, this is a bloody good book. Next I've got Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fanny Flagg. This is one that my lovely friend Fee gave to me, or just recommended to me, and I got it. And it's gorgeous and wonderful, and I think about it on a regular basis. So it's just set in this small town in the States during the Depression, and it's about these two women, Idgie and Ruth, who set up together the Whistle Stop Cafe. And they are, in the book, very obviously lesbians, and they have this lovely relationship. In the movie, which I haven't seen, apparently take that away and they're just good gal pals. But go to the source material, kids, they are in love with each other. But it's not just about them, it's also about the whole town. There's a whole cast of characters that get involved, and Idgie is accused of having murdered a man, and we find out slowly throughout the book what actually happened. So there's this great mystery element, and it's told like split timelines. So we have in present day, which I think is like the 80s, there's Evelyn, who has come to an old person's home with, hang on, I believe she's come with her husband to visit his mother or something like that. But while she's there, she ends up talking to this other woman who tells her the whole story of Idgie and Ruth and the Whistle Stop Cafe. So that's the kind of framing device we get. And of course the timelines will link up, as they always do. And it's also got recipes at the end for the food that they make in the Whistle Stop Cafe. It's got so much going on in here. It's about racism, and it's about love, and it's about friendship. And it's such a pretty cover, and it's a bloody good book. Here's the one that you will already have heard me talking about a lot, especially if you watched my last video, but that is Bear Town by Frederick Backman. This was my absolute favourite book of last year, so I couldn't resist putting it in here, but sorry if you've heard me talk about it so many times. But this is about ice hockey, which is a very surprising topic for me to pick as my favourite book of the year, because I don't actually care about sports. But it's also about toxic masculinity, which is one of my favourite topics. And it made me actually interested in sport, which was a great achievement. There's a thing happens, a terrible thing happens in this town, but the town basically revolves around the ice hockey team. So if someone from the ice hockey team does a terrible thing, they're all gonna like support the person because the ice hockey means so much to them. And Frederick Backman does a really great job of showing how important the team is to everyone for so many different reasons. So you really do kind of empathize with them for caring so much about the team winning, even while you're like, no, that doesn't make this okay, it's not more important than what happened. So it's really about highlighting how terrible that can be, but at the same time has this real joy in sports and shows how sports helped so many different people and what it brought to all the different people. So even for me, who like just could not give a shit about sports, I actually cared about ice hockey after reading this. And it's uber feminist, which is great. That's always my favourite type of book. It made me very angry and it made me very tearful. It's quite hard to get me to actually cry at a book, but I did cry onto the pages of this book. Sadly, I did not enjoy the sequel. Just thought it was fine. Thought it was like a 3 out of 5. But that does not subtract from the fact that this is a bloody good book. And then finally, the last book I have on this list is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. Now, Lionel, whatever your name is, she has said some things that are annoying. So I don't like her. She's like very anti-diversity in books and stuff, which is an odd stance to take. But I read this book before I knew anything about her and I thought it was great. So it's about, heavy topic, it's about a mass murder at a school, but from the perspective of the mother of the boy who did it. And it basically tackles the nature-nurture debate, but very effectively, because it never really answers it. Like, you could read the same book twice and think that it was very persuasively arguing one way or the other. That's how clever it is, that it's actually like letting you draw your own conclusions from that. And it's chilling, and the ending is so shocking and creepy, and it makes the idea of having children even more terrifying than it already is, because wow, what if you accidentally have a Kevin? And if you do have a Kevin, is it your fault that you had a Kevin? Or was it just bad luck with a Kevin? Both of those are equally terrifying. And it's all narrated in letters from his mother to her estranged husband, who always supported Kevin, whereas the mother, Eva, always doubted Kevin and always thought that Kevin kind of had this like dark side to him. But was it the fact that she thought that made him have the dark side? Oh my god, we will never know. Such a bloody good book. So those are my 10 bloody good books that I recommend for you this Christmas. You're welcome. That was your Christmas present, is to read any of these books, and I guarantee you'll have a bloody good time. But guess what that means? That means that Vlogmas is now officially over for 2018. Oh my god, that was a lot of work. But it means that Christmas is here. So you don't have to be too sad, as I know you all would be, when you wake up tomorrow without a video from me, because you'll wake up tomorrow and it will be Christmas Day. Which is grand. I love Christmas. I'll be drinking Prosecco and opening stockings in my pajamas. So give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed Vlogmas and if you are very impressed with me that I actually got the whole way through. And I know so did lots of other people have done it several years in a row. I didn't invent this achievement, but no one would have predicted it of me. And leave a comment below if you have any bloody good book recommendations to add to this list. What are your all-time favourites that you just think everyone would love? And subscribe to this channel because now Vlogmas is over, but I will be going back to posting videos every Friday. So I will see you next time. Merry Christmas!